We'll talk a bit about your rides this week. Some nice rides, starting with the babies and Tapi Sioux. I think was a late entry. What can you tell us about her?
She's very straightforward. Obviously there's a couple of maidens. There was a maiden again I think in a couple of weeks, which was penciled in as a first preference. But obviously being the small entries, we thought we'd take a chance and bring her in on tomorrow night and let her have a scoot round and see how she goes from there.
And she came from the sales in America, cost quite a lot of money. Has she been quite professional at home?
Yeah, no, she's very straightforward. You'll see tomorrow, she's very sort of athletically looking, very straightforward. She knows what she's doing. So like we say, because of the small field, it was the attraction, and that's why we're coming tomorrow.
And do you find with the ones that have come from America, they can be quite, because they're sort of pushed hard for the sales, they can be quite kind of zippy?
Yeah, they can. They're definitely full of beans anyway. A couple of them you sort of nearly just need to start again with them because they can just be very, very on edge, and they're obviously taught to breeze over sort of a furlong and a half, and they literally just want to jump and go. So you just got to almost just start them again a little bit, and but if they've got a brain, you're okay. It's fine.
Did you ride her in a trial?
No, I didn't. Pat rode her in a trial. She trialled nicely. Same as the pair of them, both run tomorrow night. They've both trialled, and they've both trialled nicely. So, hopeful for one of the two.
That sounds promising. And then in the other maiden, you've got Al Dyer, who didn't show a lot last year, but powerful yard. They've stuck with him. They must think there was something there.
Yeah, he's just started to come. To be fair, they were very happy with his work last week, and the maiden, obviously, Mulfit looks the horse to beat off of his last run, and he's backing him up reasonably quickly. But it looks the contest which is more than winnable, which is why they're both going there.
Okay, so one that you've sat on at home and know a fair bit about.
Yeah.
Okay, and move on to Guernsey, who's got a lot of seconds to his name. Actually ran really well at Meydan, including over this trip. We've got to be hopeful he'll be there or thereabouts again.
Yeah, he's a bit of a rogue, Guernsey. He knows what he's at. He'll certainly be finishing off when it matters. He doesn't show you a great deal at home apart from a lot of speed, but on the track he tends to sort of just get a little bit in behind, and then he's come home really well his last couple of runs, so that'll be the aim again with him.
No surprise to you that Pat picked Trenchard? I've always thought he's a bit tricky.
No, his homework's been very good. He jumped very well out the gates and worked nicely out the gates last week, so out of the two it was the obvious choice off of the homework.
Okay, and then move on to the one that I know really sort of had you scratching your head, which was Dehbashi. You picked him over Galvanised, and Dehbashi's not an easy horse, but one that will suit you for sure.
Yeah, it was a really tricky situation, to be fair. Like, we're obviously having to start 4 over 2,000 metres. We've obviously got Hitchcott in there as well at Dane rides. We'd have loved to have split them up, but unfortunately they've got to start somewhere, which is why they're all there. Dehbashi, he's won over the 2,000 metres. Galvanised is very, very good fresh. I promise you, any one of the 4 could win. It was a tough choice.
And he'll see out the trip, no problem. Is it a case with him that he needs them to go fast and run through tired horses?
I think it would help him. We wouldn't want them to crawl round because he probably just does lack that real instant turn of foot where some of them can nip away from the front, which hopefully won't be Galvanised anyway. But no, he's straightforward. He sees the trip out, and like you say, the harder they go, the better it'll probably be for him.
Is he just lazy, or can he just not go that early phase?
No, I think he's a horse you just have to let him find his feet. Some horses need to just get breathing first before you can put a gun to their head and ask them to sort of rush. You've got to be able to walk before you can run, so to speak. And some horses you just need to give that little bit of a chance to get into a rhythm, and then they can pick up through horses. If you force them, then sometimes they just don't want to go.
And then you've got a really interesting ride at Abu Dhabi, and what's probably the best race of the weekend on Eshtirak, who came from Australia, and David Hayes. I assume he's had a fair bit of time in the yard to settle in.
Yeah, he's obviously been here since last year. Obviously come from down under, which is obviously a hard thing to do, to come all up here. It's a long way of travelling and quarantine and everything else. And sometimes it just takes horses sort of 6 months to acclimatise and get used to things. His work's been good. He's obviously a strong traveller. He's running a lot better races back at home in Australia. We're hopeful for a nice run.